Hi everybody, my name's Cameron and today we're going to be looking at Earth's atmosphere. We're going to be looking at its history, how it's evolving, what it's currently at, greenhouse gases, as well as global climate change. So the theory about Earth's atmosphere is that initially volcanoes spewed out a lot of carbon dioxide and nitrogen. Okay, water vapor, maybe a bit, but they think that that also came from somewhere else. Okay, but carbon dioxide and nitrogen was what Earth's atmosphere consisted of for billions of years. Okay, as our climate the conditions on Earth started to stabilize and become a bit cooler, um, organisms were able to harness the sunlight and take in that carbon dioxide and then produce oxygen. Okay, initially it was microorganisms, but then they grew to be complex organisms in the ocean, which allowed oxygen to be made in our atmosphere. As we can see, it's just the formula for photosynthesis. Basically, that's what caused us to have oxygen in our atmosphere. So initially we said that there was a large concentration of carbon dioxide in Earth's atmosphere, whereas now there's only 0.04% of it that is carbon dioxide. So where did it all go? Well, everything that is organic, everything that is made up of carbon dioxide, everything that eats is taking in carbon. Sorry, I said carbon dioxide. Anything made up of carbon is getting that carbon, okay, from eating. Now, when an organism dies, it doesn't necessarily release that carbon back into the atmosphere. Okay, it is going to be stored in that organism's bones. And if you take every living thing's bones that have ever been around, okay, that's a lot of carbon that is being kept underground. Okay, sometimes what can happen is that carbon can reach the surface. It can be found by humans that are going to burn it to create fuel. Okay, and that fuel is then going to release carbon dioxide. That's the only really real way that carbon is released back into the environment. That and fires, I guess, natural fires. Okay, but most of the time we're going to have these carbon reserves underground in the form of fossil fuels as well as just skeletons. Okay. So currently Earth's atmosphere is still a high percentage of nitrogen. Okay, it's 78% nitrogen, it's 21% oxygen, 0.9% argon, and 0.04% carbon dioxide. So there's trace amounts of other gas as well, such as water vapor and some noble gases. Okay, so I'm sure you've heard of greenhouse gases, but what are they exactly? So it's carbon dioxide, methane, and water vapor. So with these three gases, Earth would not be so warm. Okay, we need those gases to be a certain amount in our atmosphere. And what that does is it retains some of the sun's energy, so it doesn't just bounce off of the Earth or be released back by the Earth as terrestrial radiation. Okay, it keeps some of it inside, and that gives us this nice weather that keeps us alive on this earth and allows for life to thrive. Okay, but human activity has kind of unbalanced that greenhouse gas effect and it has increased it. So what happens is, with our burning of fossil fuels as well as raising so much cattle and so much grazing animals, the increased level in carbon dioxide and methane is leading to the greenhouse gases trapping a bit too much solar energy inside. Okay, and that is leading to global warming, which is the increase in the average temperature of the world. So the global climate change due to this increased levels of carbon dioxide and methane can lead to rising sea levels as our glaciers melt with an increase in temperature. More common weather extremes, okay, such as hail, tornadoes, hurricanes, okay, Earth's weather gets more sporadic. Changes in the temperature with regards to the amount of rain, okay, so we can either have intense floods or droughts around the world. as well as a change to ecosystems and many species dying out and becoming extinct. Okay, so what causes this is an increase in our carbon footprint, the effect that we have on the amount of carbon in the world. Okay, and how we can decrease this carbon footprint is usually by using more recycled materials so that they don't have to be produced and carbon be used. We can use more fuel efficient cars, we can use more greener fuels, okay, such as hydrogen possibly. And another way is by pumping carbon dioxide underground. It's a bit of a weird one. And what that's going to do is going to capture and store that carbon. Okay, thus decreasing the levels of that greenhouse gas. Another way, and a pretty cool way, is there's some concretes that they can make using carbon dioxide. And it acts as a natural store for carbon dioxide. Okay, or carbon rather. And that's then going to release oxygen. Okay. Another one would be to go for more plant-based diets, just because it makes sense that if there's more plants, instead of if there's more oxygen-producing plants that take in carbon dioxide than your carbon dioxide-producing cows and pigs and sheep, okay, then our carbon levels should theoretically decrease, because it's also going to be decreasing the amounts of methane. So maybe humans should be going into a more plant-based diet to lessen the greenhouse effect. Okay, another issue that we can face is atmospheric pollutants. Okay, this can be in the form of our sulfur dioxides, our nitrogen oxides, carbon monoxide. A lot of this is made by either factories or by our own burning of fossil fuels in our cars. Okay, now what we have in most cars is we use something called the catalytic converter. Okay, and what that's going to do is decrease the amount of these poisonous gases we release into the air. Okay, but it's still not enough, and some cars' catalytic converters are a bit old. Okay, now what happens is, other than the fact that these gases are poisonous to breathe in, they mix with water in the clouds and they can form something called acid rain. Now, acid rain can not only damage structures, but it can damage clothes as well as crops. Okay, so the general pollution of the atmosphere is going to lead to increased amounts of lung conditions such as asthma and infections, okay, as well as this acid rain that can lead to us becoming sick if we are to drink too much of it, or our crops not being able to grow properly. Okay, so my name is Cameron. This has been our atmosphere, and stay green. Try to help us out here and decrease the total carbon emissions that you might produce during your day. Okay, reduce, reuse, recycle, and I'll see you in the next lesson.